Tower of Trials Level 5 allows you to obtain the position of Investigator in the Dojo of Limits. Luo Feng couldn't help but to look at it carefully again. An archaeological ruins Black God set. What is this Black God set? Envious. Can't help but be envious. Even a country's army has to be careful with an investigator. In other words, if you can make it to the 5th floor of the Tower of Trials, your position on Earth will skyrocket. Not only that, but he would also be able to obtain the mysterious Black God set that seemed to have come from the ruins of the ancient civilization. Even though Luo Feng doesn't understand, he can guess that it's something good. Soon enough, Luo Feng finished reading the entire student handbook. From there, Luo Feng realized that the 3 most important things in the training camp were Tower of Trials level, Fist Strength level, and Black Dragon ranking. So that's how I get my points. Points are equal to battle points multiplied by Battle Ability Amplifier. And battle points are very simple. There's only one way to get them: hunting monsters. A low-level commander level monster is worth 1 battle point. A medium-level commander level monster is worth 10 battle points. A high-level commander level monster is worth 100 battle points. A low-level horde leader level monster is worth 1000 battle points. Of course, in the elite training camp, even if you have the strength to kill a low-level horde leader level monster, not many would be stupid enough to actually do so. After all, once you kill 2 low-level horde leaders, your strength rating will be war god level, and you'll have to graduate and leave the training camp. Not many students are willing to leave early. And battle ability amplifier is very simple. It's just the fist strength level multiplied by the Tower of Trials level. For example, a certain person has 1000 battle points, fist strength level 1.5, and Tower of Trials level 2. Then his combat ability amplifier would be 3. Points are 1000 times 3, which is 3000 points. The training camp really cares about fist strength level and Tower of Trials level. If the battle ability amplifier is a bit bigger, my points will increase by a lot. After Luo Feng finished reading the student handbook, he pulled out a few video tutorials from the training camp's laptop. Even though the training camp has quite a few powerful war gods teaching classes, the training camp is very clear that these geniuses have weird personalities. But the training camp knew very well that these peerless geniuses had strange temperaments, so it was unlikely that all of them would attend classes obediently. That was why there were instructional videos. Every student's laptop had a copy of the video recording of every lesson. Of course, during a real lesson you can ask the teacher directly and have the teacher personally guide you and answer your questions. The effect would definitely be better than watching educational videos. However, I've never attended any of those war gods classes. Let's look at these videos. Luo Feng carefully looked at the contents of the folder. The list clearly separated the videos into Daoyin technique, technique, force exertion, blade technique, sword technique, spear technique, staff technique, hammer technique. And Luo Feng's biggest assets right now are 3. One is his spiritual force, one is his advanced Ruwei level technique, and one is his ability to instantly explode with 2.8 times his body's strength. Let's see the movement technique first. Luo Feng opened a video and started watching. As for the realm of movement techniques, they were also divided into basic level, subtlety level, perfection level, and conception level. For these 4 levels, Luo Feng opened up quite a few videos. The main focus was on the Ruwei level. As for the perfect level, it was clear that these teachers would have a hard time explaining it in detail. This required comprehension and was very difficult to teach. As for the level of intent, it was even more indescribable. 4:35 p.m. Luo Feng was still sitting in front of his laptop as he watched a video on how to exert force. Teacher, when my fist explodes, it can reach 1.8 times my normal strength. However, when my legs explode, it can only reach 1.5 times my normal strength. Teacher, you said before that when you exert force from your legs, it should be the same as when you exert force from your fists. Why can't I do it? Asked a black youth in the video. Luo Feng changed the language of the video to Chinese so naturally he could understand it. In the video, a white brute smiled as he said, "You'll have to experience this yourself. Carefully think about how you exert force with your arms and fists, then go back and study how to exert force with your legs. You can already do 1.5 times, which means you've improved. You'll have to rely on yourself from now on. Teacher can only point the way." Boom. Luo Feng, who was in front of the laptop, felt like he was struck by lightning. He blankly sat in front of the computer with his eyes wide open. After that, he let out an expression of ecstasy. He fiercely smacked his head and jumped up. "I'm such an idiot, so stupid, so stupid. I didn't even think of such a simple thing. Holy sh*t, I didn't even realize this problem. Yeah, if my arms and fists can exert force, then my legs can naturally exert force too." Luo Feng's body was slightly shaking. "Through the 9-stage Thunder Blade, my strength can reach 2.8 times my normal strength. However, my running speed has always been the speed of a beginner-level warlord. I didn't think that since I can transfer it to my arms, then naturally I can transfer it to my legs too." Luo Feng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This logic is simple. After a powerful fighter has exquisite control over his strength, if his fists can exert force, then his legs can too. However, Luo Feng couldn't connect the dots even after all this time. Normal fighters aren't spirit readers, so they can't use their spiritual force to speed up their bodies. Then, if a fighter who trains in the 9-stage Thunder Blade has strong attack power, then how can he fight above his level? If he's slow, then how can he fight above his level? A beginner-level warlord probably can't even keep up with an advanced-level warlord's shadow. Luo Feng was able to fight above his level because of his spiritual force. I'm stupid. The 9-stage Thunder Blade can be used on the arms, but it can also be used on the legs. This way the strength of my legs will increase and my speed will increase. Speed and strength have to be able to keep up. Only then can we fight those of a higher level. Luo Feng's eyes flashed. Right now my explosive strength has reached 2.8 times. In other words, my legs can also reach 2.8 times. My speed will probably be close to doubling. For a true fighter, speed is more important than strength. If you're much faster than your opponent, you can completely toy with them. Speed. I need to be faster. Luo Feng couldn't be bothered to watch the video anymore. He closed his notebook and rushed downstairs. Every student's building has an underground room. The walls of these rooms are all made of Koluo alloy, so students can do whatever they want. In the underground room of Luo Feng's building. After turning on the lights, the light shone through the holes in the alloy steel, causing the entire underground room to be bright. The underground room was around 2.5 meters tall, 5 meters long and 5 meters wide. The walls and floor were all dark green. Clearly this alloy wasn't pure Koluo alloy, there were other materials mixed in. On the alloy floor and walls, there were slight dents from fists and footprints. These were all left behind by the past students. Luo Feng ferociously rushed forward. Dark energy continuously poured into his fist and he directly punched the alloy wall. At the end of February, Luo Feng's fist strength neared 10,000 kilograms. And now it's already the end of March. In this month, Luo Feng's fist strength has grown by quite a bit, reaching 11,500 kilograms. Clearly his improvement is much faster than in the past few months. Under his 2.8x power, his fist strength is over 30,000 kilograms. In other words, his fist strength is over 30 tons. The alloy wall slightly shook, and a faint fist mark that was almost 1 centimeter deep appeared. Clearly, compared to the seniors who used to live here, Luo Feng's current strength is still quite weak. Those seniors probably had the strength of a war god back then. Let's see the explosive strength of my legs. Luo Feng began to try out the 9-stage Thunder Blade. First, try out the first stage of the 9-stage Thunder Blade. On top of the original strength, he released an additional dark energy. Pu. Luo Feng's right leg turned into a blur as it continuously kicked in the air. I feel it. Yeah, release the strength. Just like this. With Luo Feng's 9-stage Thunder Blade, he can easily increase his leg's explosive strength to 1.4x. After that, Luo Feng started sprinting back and forth, dodging left and right, etc., and started his rapid technique training. Keep in mind that during a battle, your body constantly changes directions. To explode with 1.4x power time and time again is much harder than just exploding once. 20 minutes later, Luo Feng's legs are completely used to exploding with 1.4x power. When Luo Feng uses his blade technique, he can explode with 2.8x power time and time again. Right now, he's just using the same experience to explode with his legs. All he needs is time to get used to it. Next is the second stage of the 9-stage Thunder Blade. He wants to increase his leg's explosive strength to 2.1x. Luo Feng, you're working too hard going into the underground room to train on the first day? Hurry up and get ready, it's almost 8 p.m. Tonight, our Huaxia senior brothers and junior sisters are holding a banquet to welcome you. Senior sister Zhao Rua's voice came from outside. In the underground room, Luo Feng, whose body was completely drenched in sweat, stopped with a face full of excitement. It's almost 8 p.m.? I entered the underground room around 4 p.m. I didn't think that 3 hours would have passed. Luo Feng was extremely happy. 3 hours? Luo Feng was overjoyed. After 3 hours, my legs are more or less healed. I can continuously dodge and move horizontally and explode with 2.1x strength. As for 2.8x, I'll probably need some more time. Luo Feng immediately rushed out of the underground room. Senior, I'm going to take a shower and change my clothes. I'll be right back. Luo Feng waved his hand. The rain had already stopped. Shi Jiang and Zhao Rua couldn't help but to shake their heads and laugh when they saw the sweaty Luo Feng. This Luo Feng sure is working hard, Shi Jiang laughed as he complimented. He is. Even though the banquet starts at 8 p.m., this guy stayed in the underground room and trained until 7:30, said Zhao Rua helplessly. However, she wasn't surprised. Almost everyone in the elite training camp is working hard. However, only a few extremely hard-working students go into the underground room to train on the first day. After taking a shower and changing into some dry casual clothes, Luo Feng stood in front of the mirror in the bathroom with a face full of smiles. Mirror, mirror. I'm sure that after I reach 2.8x power, my speed will also double. With this increase in speed, where can I go in the Tower of Trials? Double speed, what kind of concept is that? The increase in strength is too scary. If Luo Feng took the B grade exam, his speed would have doubled. Along with his Ru Wei level of perfection, and his technique that's almost at the threshold of the perfect level, Luo Feng easily took care of those 100 raging bulls. Time to go to the banquet. I'll meet the geniuses of China. Luo Feng smiled towards the mirror and then swiftly went downstairs. He left Jiangnan Pagoda with his senior Shi Jiang and senior Zhao Rua, and went to the Chinese gathering in the training camp. P.S. 2 chapters completed. At the same time, let out a loud roar. Come, get your monthly votes. 8 p.m., on the second floor of cafeteria number 1 of the elite training camp, 21 students from China gathered here to welcome Luo Feng's arrival. Only when you're in a foreign country will you feel closer to your fellow countrymen. Quite a few seniors enthusiastically chatted and drank with Luo Feng. 1 hour later. Phew, they finally let me go. Luo Feng held a glass of wine as he stood in the corner. This banquet was prepared for you. You're the main character today, so of course everyone wants to drink and chat with you. Zhao Rua's face was slightly red. Zhao Rua's face slightly blushed. Under the illumination of the hall's lights, there was a hint of womanly charm. And Luo Feng, Senior Chu Chang, paid for tonight's banquet. Do you know how much this banquet cost? Luo Feng shook his head. These dishes are all extremely delicious. I really can't guess the price. But even if it's expensive, it should be around $1 million Chinese dollars, right? How expensive can food and drinks be? $1 million? What a joke. Zhao Rua lowered her voice. The chefs in the elite training camp are the best in the world. Moreover, the ingredients used for these dishes are all taken from some of the most powerful monsters in the world. Just this banquet? For 21 people, the food will cost at least tens of millions. Luo Feng blinked twice. Don't think it's too expensive? If you were anywhere else in the world, you wouldn't be able to eat even if you had money. Zhao Rua shook her head. However, this amount of money is nothing to Senior Chu Chang. In our training camp, any student that can rank in the top 10. As long as they're willing to join an organization, they'll definitely receive large amounts of money. Chu Chang joined an organization? Luo Feng asked in shock. When he came yesterday, Chu Chang was ranked second on the Black Dragon ranking. To be able to rank second in the elite training camp, even if it's temporary, is quite scary. Chu Chang was roped in by our Chinese army. Everyone knew about this a year ago. Zhao Rua lowered her voice, and I heard that the Dojo of Limits is also roping in Chu Chang. Zhao Rua said in a low voice, and I heard that the Dojo of Limits is also trying to rope in Chu Chang. There are even a few organizations in China that are trying to recruit him. Rumor has it that the army specially set up an action department for Chu Chang. After Chu Chang graduates, he'll be the boss of this division. Luo Feng was shocked. The country's army created a special division just to welcome Chu Chang? It can't be helped. Chu Chang is indeed powerful. Zhao Rua exclaimed. He is one of the top 5 in the training camp. In terms of strength, there are 10 people who can be ranked in the top 5. However, there are only 1 or 2 who can stay in the top 5 of the Black Dragon rankings for a long time. Luo Feng nodded, expressing his understanding. The Black Dragon leaderboard was ranked according to points. Although one's strength was strong, one's ranking would be very high. However, the ranking could not possibly show a person's strength 100%. This month I made it to the top 5. Next month, another person with similar strength might make it to the top 5. Everyone's strength is relatively close. That was why it was said that 10 people were qualified to be in the top 5. To be able to stay in the top 5 for a long period of time was terrifying. The government and the army must give Chu Chang a large sum of money every year. Zhao Rua sighed. In our training camp there are 3 types of people who are the richest. The first type are people like Chu Chang who are strong and have joined a special organization. The second type was to join a core family of the HR Alliance. The third is a spirit reader. However, the second type of person joining the core families of the HR Alliance is very stupid. Although those families were rich in terms of background and influence, how could they compare to the national army? How could they compare to the Dojo of Limits or the Thunder Dojo? The third type, spirit readers. There's no other way. They use their spiritual force to control hidden weapons and kill monsters like harvesting crops. Hunting monsters every day for materials is very scary. Just by relying on this, they earn money at a frightening rate. The speed at which a spirit reader earns money is comparable to the 10 of us. Luo Feng laughed. He's a spirit reader himself, so of course he knew how fast spirit readers earn money. An intermediate level warlord like Gao Feng only earns 200 to 300 million a year. And an advanced level warlord fighter earning 1 billion a year is pretty good. And Luo Feng, an advanced level warlord level spirit reader, earning close to 10 billion a year isn't strange at all. He's even stronger than a beginner level war god. An advanced level warlord level spirit reader in terms of strength is comparable to a beginner level war god. Along with the peculiarity of the spiritual force, their efficiency in killing monsters is even higher. These 3 types of people are the richest in our training camp, muttered Zhao Rua. Luo Feng, a clear voice rang. Luo Feng and Zhao Rua turned their heads and saw a tall youth with a chiseled face walk over. It's the famous figure of the elite training camp, Chu Chang. Senior Chu Chang laughed Zhao Rua as she yelled, "You guys chat," and then obediently left. Luo Feng and Chu Chang stood in a corner. Luo Feng. Chu Chang looked at the other people in the distance and lowered his voice. Our Chinese military is very interested in you. I wonder if you're interested in joining the military? Military? Luo Feng froze. He just joined the elite training camp and they're already trying to recruit him? Yeah. Chu Chang drank a mouthful of alcohol. Don't worry, the military isn't stingy when it comes to talents. After you graduate, your treatment in the military will depend on your strength. Of course, it'll depend on your strength. When the time comes, the stronger you are, the better your treatment will be. As for the details, we can slowly discuss it later. And if you agree to join then? For the 5 years you're in the training camp, the military will provide you with 5 billion every year. LuoFeng's heart slightly sped up. 5 billion? If you're not a spirit reader, a normal fighter won't be able to kill a low-level horde leader monster. For example, a beginner-level war god will have a hard time successfully killing a low-level horde leader monster. So a beginner-level war god earning 5 billion a year is already pretty good. Moreover, war gods' expenses were frighteningly high, so most war gods were short of money. Dragon blood, elixir of life, SS-grade battle uniform, etc. Which one of them isn't expensive? Most war gods can't afford it either. For example, the battle uniform Luo Feng received from the steel armored dragon's nest only had an SS-grade vest. Clearly that dead war god couldn't afford the entire set. He only bought the most important vest. Senior, I just entered the training camp. I don't plan on joining any organization. Let's talk about it in a few years, said Luo Feng. Oh. Chu Chang was a bit surprised. Alright, you're right. These 5 years are the most important years for you to improve your strength. If you want to join the Chinese military, just let me know. That night, Luo Feng received a total of 6 invitations. 3 of them came from within China. Only after receiving these invitations did Luo Feng realize that other than the military there are other special departments in China. However, in comparison, the military has a stronger background. The other 3 invitations came from 2 core families of the HR Alliance and a mercenary group called the Flame Legion. There are quite a few mercenary groups on Earth. However, most of them are average in strength, but some of them are extremely powerful. Hong and Thunder God can each take over a headquarter city and spread their dojos all over the world. Their power isn't any weaker than a powerful country. They can be said to be 2 great warlords. And on Earth, there are other ambitious people who want to establish their own power and become a lord. For example, the Flame Legion was created by 2 existences surpassing the war god level. Even among mercenaries they are extremely powerful. They were even invited by quite a few headquarter cities in Africa to help them. However, Luo Feng rejected all 6 invitations. March 30th morning. The temperature was low. Quite a few students were running or walking in the training camp. Luo Feng was one of them. Luo Feng, Luo Feng. As he was walking on the stone path, Luo Feng, who was wearing a black dojo uniform, stopped in shock and turned his head to look. He saw a slightly curly blonde-haired youth smiling as he walked over. His slightly awkward Mandarin made people think that he was a foreigner speaking Mandarin. My name is William Edison from the EU, said the blonde-haired youth passionately. William? Luo Feng muttered to himself. This name is just like Russia's Alexander, America's David, and China's Wang Wei and Zhang Wei. They are all names that couldn't be more familiar. William? Hello, Luo Feng smiled as he said. I've always been curious about China, said the blonde-haired youth passionately, and in the training camp, there are many geniuses in China. And Luo Feng, you were called in alone. I really want to spar with you and compare notes. I wonder if Luo Feng can satisfy this request of mine. Luo Feng froze. Spar? Yeah, can we spar in the challenge room? Said the blonde-haired youth, William passionately. Challenge room? In Luo Feng's mind, the contents of the student notice immediately appeared. This challenge room is a product of the archaeological ruins. After entering the challenge room, the 2 of them will put on their consciousness sensors and enter the virtual space. Then they will have a battle to the death in the virtual space. Usually, these kinds of battles will have bets. Let's not bet big. How about 1 billion Chinese dollars? The blonde-haired youth, William's smile became even brighter and more passionate. William. A delicate yell rang. Luo Feng turned his head and saw that Zhao Rua, who was wearing a purple dojo uniform, had an angry expression on her face as she yelled, William, you're too shameless. Luo Feng is just a newbie and he's betting against you in the challenge room? I'm afraid he's giving you money. You bunch of filthy bastards. In March, you secretly found a few newbies and made them bet against you and lose money to you. If you can bet against me. Miss Zhao Rua, this has nothing to do with you. I believe that Luo Feng is very strong. Maybe I'll lose to him. William looked towards Luo Feng. Zhao Rua also looked towards Luo Feng. Luo Feng, don't trust this foreigner. Some people in the training camp are quite sneaky. They especially bully the newbies. They don't dare to bully them openly, so they bet against the newbies. And the newbies almost always lose. Only after losing do the newbies know how strong the seniors are. This foreigner's battle ability amplifier is medium. Even though it's not high, it's not low either. Newbies usually aren't his match. It's just 1 billion. The blonde youth, William, looked towards Luo Feng. Any random organization would earn you more than this amount of money. Luo Feng completely understood what happened. Some people in the training camp took advantage of the fact that the newbies didn't understand the rules and passionately dragged them to bet against each other to earn a lot of money. It's William. A Chinese youth ran over. This Chinese youth is called Jiang Chen. Luo Feng already knew him from last night's banquet. Luo Feng, don't bet against him. This guy is very sneaky. I just joined the training camp on March 1st and was tricked by this guy into going to the challenge room on the first day. He earned a lot of money. Fuck. William's expression didn't look too good. He was looking for an opportunity to see Luo Feng alone, but he didn't expect to be ruined by so many people. Sure, you want to bet? Sure, Luo Feng smiled as he looked at him. Luo Feng, Zhao Rua and Jiang Chen were both shocked. Oh, William let out a surprised expression. Luo Feng, let's set a time. But 1 billion is too small, I'm not interested. How about a bit bigger? 5 billion. Luo Feng glanced at William. If you dare to play, then play. If you don't, then forget it. Zhao Rua and Jiang Chen opened their eyes wide. 5 billion? William froze as well. P.S. Chapter 1 here. A beginner-level war god can only earn 5 billion after working hard for a year. Even though these geniuses in the elite training camp all have limitless futures, They receive quite a bit of money from various organizations. However, 5 billion is still a relatively large sum of money. In the training camp, normal spirit readers and top-ranked students bet against each other for such a large sum of money. Of course, there are also unexpected situations. If both sides fight for a moment of pride, the bet might be huge. 5 billion. William squinted his eyes and carefully looked at Luo Feng. Luo Feng. Zhao Rua and Jiang Qin both looked at Luo Feng in shock. Never mind if you don't dare. Luo Feng shook his head. Senior Zhao Rua, Jiang Qin, let's go. Zhao Rua and Jiang Qin also came to their senses and immediately smiled as they followed Luo Feng. Jiang Qin laughed coldly as he looked at William. William made a lot of money out of him. Luo Feng was about to leave. Wait, William yelled. What, you dare to bet? Luo Feng looked at William. 5 billion, I won't bet if it's any lower. Alright, 5 billion, I'll bet with you. Even though William's Mandarin was indecipherable, his eyes clearly showed that he was going all out. Alright, great. Luo Feng laughed. Tell me the time. William was confident. Tomorrow, said Luo Feng. There's no way to tell the exact time. Since there's only one challenge room, it might be occupied by other students. So you have to wait for the computer system to confirm the exact time. Alright, William rubbed his nose, smiled, turned around and left. Jiangnan Pagoda. Even Senior Shi Jiang, who went to the 9 grand floors to train, immediately rushed back to Jiangnan Pagoda after hearing the news. No matter what, Shi Jiang, Zhao Rua, and Luo Feng are all from China's Jiangnan headquarters city. They're also from Jiangnan and they entered the training camp before Luo Feng, so they're older. Naturally they'll help Luo Feng. Luo Feng. Zhao Rua was a bit angry. How could you bet with him? Do you think you're a genius fighter? You're very strong. You've never met anyone your age who's stronger than you, so you're very confident? You're blind. Zhao Rua said angrily. Many people who just entered the training camp have been tricked by the older students. Most of them lose. You're a genius among geniuses, but you're in this training camp. Which one of them was not a genius among geniuses? Moreover, they have been studying in the training camp for a long time. Alright, Zhao Rua, Shi Jiang said. Senior sister Zhao Rua. Luo Feng smiled as he poured tea. Don't be angry, right? You said that William, his battle ability amplifier is medium, right? Yes. Zhao Rua was startled. Looks like Luo Feng was prepared. Shi Jiang looked at Luo Feng with shock. Because in a life and death battle in the virtual space, the two people's physical qualities were exactly the same. Therefore at this time, it depended on the person's fist strength, speed, movement technique and other factors. The battle prowess amplifier was equal to the fist strength level multiplied by the tower of trial level. Among them, a combat power amplifier of 1 to 2 was considered elementary. Most of the students who had just entered the elite training camp were beginners. A battle prowess amplifier of 2 to 4 was average. In the elite training camp, after a year and a half of training, one would generally be able to step into the intermediate level. The one called William was an average one. A battle power amplifier of 4 to 8 was considered high. He was considered a qualified student of the elite training camp. A combat ability amplifier of 8 to 16 was excellent. This was the standard for an outstanding student in the training camp. Because the range of 8 to 16 was relatively large, even if they were both excellent, there would be a huge difference in strength. Those with a combat power amplifier greater than 16 were special class. It was also known as superior grade. Even the strongest people in the world, Hong and God of Thunder, would fight to take him as their disciple. All the powerful countries and organizations in the world would be willing to pay a huge price to invite such a peerless talent. Hee, it's alright. Luo Feng laughed. It's good that you're confident. Shi Jiang hammered Luo Feng's chest and encouraged, let that William know that us Chinese aren't so easily taken advantage of. And, senior brother, senior sister, I'm going to cultivate first. There's no helping it now that the 5 billion bet is involved, the pressure is huge, Luo Feng purposely said. Pressure my ass. Zhao Rua snorted, previously you said 1 billion is too low, and 5 billion I won't play if it's too low. That tone of voice, tsk. It's called bullsh asterisk t. Luo Feng didn't know whether to laugh or cry at Zhao Rua's words. How is this Zhao Rua like a woman? Luo Feng immediately said, senior brother, senior sister, you guys go. After saying that, Luo Feng immediately returned to his living quarters. And on the 30th, other than eating, Luo Feng did his speed training in his underground room. He started training in the morning until around 7 p.m. Only with the third stage of the 9-stage Thunderblade can he unleash 2.8x his explosive power through his feet. With the third stage of the 9-stage Thunderblade, Luo Feng doesn't even use his spiritual force. His speed is already comparable to a fighter who just stepped into the advanced level warlord level. 8 p.m. Luo Feng, who just finished showering, was wearing a bathrobe as he sat in front of his laptop. This guy called William has a battle ability amplifier of the middle level which is 2.4. Me? My punching force level should be 2.8. Even though he didn't test it in the training camp, this so-called fist strength level refers to how much more explosive power you can unleash on top of your original strength. Since he can unleash 2.8x, his fist strength level is 2.8. As for the Tower of Trials level, according to the exchange of many students in the elite training camp's internal forum, he had killed 100 raging bulls by himself. This was the first level of the Tower of Trials B-grade trial. If he had succeeded, his trial level would be 1.6. My trial level is definitely higher than 1.6. However, just by multiplying 2.8 by 1.6, my battle ability amplifier is over 4. He's bullying me for my lack of experience? Humph. Even though I haven't been in the wilderness for long, the amount of monsters I've killed is something that other fighters can't even compare to in their entire lives. Luo Feng opened his mailbox. This laptop was specially prepared for the training camp, and it was also connected to the training camp's internal network. There was a document in his mailbox. Challenge letter? This challenge letter was sent after the training camp's computer system received William's challenge request. Accept. Luo Feng replied. Just replying to this email isn't enough. He still has to transfer 5 billion Chinese dollars to the challenge system's special account. Only when William and Luo Feng, the two of them, put their money into this special account will the challenge be accepted. Only then will Luo Feng and William have the right to enter the challenge room. For the winner, these two sums of money will be directly transferred to the winner's account. Isn't it just 5 billion? Luo Feng directly transferred 5 billion from his anonymous Swiss bank account into the training camp's special account. In the past, I was cautious and didn't dare to use this money. However, now that I've entered the training camp, which one of the organizations that invited me didn't give me an astronomical amount of money? Luo Feng wasn't worried that after he wins, the money would be transferred to his normal account, which would raise Vulture Scorpion's suspicions. There's no way they would be suspicious. It's normal for a student of the elite training camp to have over 10 billion in their account. Beep. A mail arrived. Luo Feng opened it. So efficient, it's out so quickly? March 31st, 11:15 a.m. In another building. A few white youths were gathered together. His money has already been transferred. The time is tomorrow 11:15 a.m., said William and Edison. William and Edison said. A tall and skinny blonde youth couldn't help but say, William, you were too careless this time. That's 5 billion yuan. I feel like it's a little dangerous this time. Candace, what are you worried about? William's gaze was cold. This time I will definitely win. You have a good chance of winning. The blonde youth named Candace nodded. If this guy named Luo Feng's strength far surpasses the new recruits of the elite training camp, he would have been recruited a long time ago and wouldn't have waited until today. This means that his strength isn't much stronger than the average rookie. But he dares to say 5 billion. Candace's eyebrows furrowed together like two sharp swords. I still think you have to be careful. Candace, you're the #1 heir of the Paulinus family. You don't have to care so much about a bet of 5 billion, and it's only in Chinese currency, not euros, a brown-haired girl said with a smile. EU's William and Edison, challenging China's newbie Luo Feng. The bet was 5 billion yuan. The news spread like a whirlwind throughout the training camp. A bet of 5 billion and yet another act of bullying a rookie. Due to these two reasons, many students came to the 9-story building on the 31st. March 31st, 11:10 noon. 9-story building, 9th floor. Around 40 to 50 people were gathered here. Some were from the EU, some were from America, some were from China, some were from Russia. Basically, all 6 big factions had people here. Even the other new students who just joined the training camp this year rushed over. Some of them have been taken advantage of before. 5 billion Chinese dollars, isn't that around 40 billion rubles? What a big bet. I wonder if William or that rookie will win. 2 white youths with big noses were muttering. From their language and looks, you could tell that they were from Russia. Among the major currencies in the world, 1 Earth dollar is equal to 3.5 Chinese dollars, which is equal to 30 rubles. William and Edison Luo Feng enter the challenge room. An electronic voice echoed around the lobby of the 9th floor. Luo Feng and William exchanged glances and walked towards the challenge room. William beat that kid, yelled Candace and Paulinus. Luo Feng beat him to death. If you win, Senior will personally cook, yelled Zhao Rua. Zhao Rua also shouted. Many students were cheering. This battle was not only a battle between the veterans and the newcomers, but also a confrontation between the European Union faction and the Huaxia faction. In the training camp, the competition between students is quite intense. After opening the door to the challenge room, Luo Feng and William walked in. Luo Feng scanned the room. The layout of the challenge room was almost exactly the same as the training room. There were also 2 sofas and 2 dark blue helmets. Luo Feng, thank you for giving me 5 billion inch, smiled William as he laid on the sofa. I hope you won't cry later. Luo Feng also laid on the sofa. Whoosh. The two of them put on their dark blue helmets at practically the same time. On the boundless silver alloy ground, there was only one structure, the arena. Whoosh. A yellow-skinned youth and a white-skinned youth appeared in the arena out of nowhere. They were precisely Luo Feng and William. Please select your weapon and battle uniform. A loud voice echoed across the sky and earth. At the same time, large amounts of weapons and equipment appeared in front of Luo Feng's eyes. Just like the time outside the Tower of Trials, Luo Feng skillfully chose his ghost blade, hexagonal shield, and battle uniform that suited his body. The two of them swiftly put them on. Oh. Luo Feng's gaze landed on the pillar of the arena. Words actually appeared on the pillar. Name, William and Edison. Gender, male. Identity, elite training camp official student. Battle ability amplifier, medium. After looking at the others, Luo Feng turned his head and looked at the pillar beside him. It was almost exactly the same as the one that introduced William. Other than the name, the only difference was that the battle ability amplifier was beginner. Please select your battle setting. The virtual space's voice rang again. 8 maps appeared in front of Luo Feng and William's eyes. You choose, William slightly smiled, just in case you lose and still feel unsatisfied. Then, Gymnasium. Luo Feng randomly chose his battle setting. Gymnasium. William let out a shocked expression as he carefully looked at the Chinese youth in front of him. Is this guy really confident or is he just too arrogant? Rumble. The sky and earth shook. Luo Feng and William's surroundings changed. In an instant, Luo Feng and William appeared in a gigantic gymnasium. The gymnasium was completely unobstructed. There were no obstructions. Around the gymnasium, there were enough stands for tens of thousands of spectators. A blinding light lit up the entire gymnasium. In the entire gymnasium there were only Luo Feng and William. Battle, begin, the electronic voice resounded in the gymnasium. William held a round shield in one hand and a long sword in the other as he confidently looked at Luo Feng. Luo Feng, I gave you a chance to choose a setting that benefits you. However, you chose this gymnasium with no obstructions. I'll let you know the true difference between a veteran of the elite training camp and a newbie like you. Come. Luo Feng slightly squinted. This would be his first opponent in the training camp. The corner of William's mouth slightly curled up. His body fiercely charged forward and instantly traversed a distance of nearly 50 meters. The tip of his long sword was like a ray of light that even caused ripples in the air. The tip of the sword directly pierced Luo Feng's forehead. At the same time, Luo Feng took a step back and swung his blade like lightning. Chi! The long sword in William's hand slightly tilted and rubbed against Luo Feng's ghost blade. After that, it stuck close to Luo Feng's blade and with a horizontal slash, it sliced towards Luo Feng's neck. Luo Feng explosively retreated, simultaneously using his hexagonal shield to block. Hua! That long sword instantly drew an exquisite arc as it sliced horizontally. It actually went along the hexagonal shield in Luo Feng's left hand and slashed towards Luo Feng's right hand. Retreat. Luo Feng practically instantly retreated over 100 meters and directly jumped onto the stands. What, are you scared? William laughed loudly. With a round shield in one hand and a long sword in the other, he slowly walked towards Luo Feng. Luo Feng, maybe you think that you're very strong among normal fighters. However, none of the old students in the elite training camp are as simple as you think they are. This time you lost 5 billion. Consider it your tuition fee. Luo Feng lowered his head and looked at his right hand. There was a white mark on the bracer of his right hand, and there was a wound on his upper arm. Fresh blood was already flowing out, but thankfully the wound wasn't deep. His sword speed isn't considered fast, but in that short moment I was actually completely suppressed. His successive moves were flawless as if they were made by nature. One attack after another, all of them were attacks. Luo Feng couldn't help but to sweat as he squinted his eyes. I can only use speed to suppress him. William was still as calm as ever, as if he was a gentleman attending a banquet. Sword and blade techniques, just being fast isn't enough. You have to be as smooth as flowing water and use all sorts of attacks to form a combination technique. William smiled. When I entered the elite training camp, all I had to do was practice my sword for over 5 hours a day. I only rested when my arm was in so much pain. You're still far from being able to beat me. William exerted force with his foot. He directly dashed towards the stands. Ha! Luo Feng's eyes widened, and the ghost blade in his hand rose to its maximum speed. Dark energy poured into the ghost blade, and Hu, like a dreamy, cold light, like lightning, it carried an undefeatable force and a speed that made people's hearts palpitate as it directly chopped towards William's head. Fast. This move could only be described with one word. Fast. Rumble. Dang 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 dang. A series of crisp sounds rang out. The long sword in William's hand was like a willow branch as it clashed with Luo Feng's ghost blade. After that, William himself explosively retreated. A frightening crack appeared on the grandstand in front of them. The broken tiles and gravel shot out in all directions, smashing into some of the plastic chairs in the grandstand. What a fast blade. However, your blade technique's basics are quite average. William laughed loudly and jumped onto the stands again. William stepped on the plastic chairs on the stands and rushed over like a tornado. I admit that your blade technique is on a higher level than my blade technique. However, one man can defeat 10. You're too slow. Luo Feng's speed instantly exploded when William arrived in front of him. In terms of speed, Luo Feng is definitely 50% faster than William. They're not even on the same level anymore. Clearly, in terms of explosive power, William is much weaker than Luo Feng. Whoosh. These two humans, who were both moving at speeds of over 100 meters per second, became two phantoms. Especially one of the black phantoms, whose speed was clearly faster than the opponent's. Every time it slashed, there would be a sharp whistling sound that could be seen with the naked eye. One slash and another slash, and another slash. Luo Feng relied on his speed to attack whenever he saw an opportunity. If there wasn't an opportunity, he would immediately dodge. And then another slash. Since in terms of blade technique, Luo Feng realized that he was far from William's level. Fuck. William roared, You, if you have the ability, come fight me in close combat. William was so angry that he spoke in English. Clearly he was extremely angry. Luo Feng's way of fighting was very sneaky. He relied on his speed, his blade, and his power to bully people. He didn't fight in close combat at all. Fight in close combat? Alright. I'll satisfy you. Luo Feng's voice resounded in the gymnasium. Luo Feng was still slashing at William's left side. Suddenly, Luo Feng continuously took 3 steps. These 3 steps could be said to be like a ghost, and he actually dodged William's sharp blade. William himself was extremely shocked. How is this possible? He only felt a shadow float past him. William knew that something was wrong because Luo Feng had already disappeared from his field of vision. Puchi. A blade slashed across William's neck, and his head flew into the air. Pu. Fresh blood sprayed everywhere. William's body powerlessly fell down, and fresh blood dyed the already broken plastic chairs on the ground. Challenge, Luo Feng wins. The electronic voice resounded in the gymnasium. The entire gymnasium became blurry and completely disappeared. On the silver alloy ground on the empty arena, Luo Feng and William both stood on it. Impossible, William stared deadly at Luo Feng. I can't lose. I was chosen to enter the elite training camp, and I've been training hard here for a year. In this year I've been bitterly training my sword technique, my body strength, etc. My strength has increased by a lot, so how could I lose to a newbie like you? A loss is a loss, said Luo Feng. William clenched his fists tightly. If it was a normal spar, losing wouldn't be a big deal. But this time many students were attracted over. If he lost, he would lose face and he would lose a huge amount of money. 5 billion Chinese dollars. Even William's heart would ache if he lost this huge amount of money. You've already lost. Luo Feng looked at William in front of him and couldn't help but to praise. I admit, in terms of sword technique and blade technique, you are indeed much higher than me. Much higher. His speed and strength far surpass his opponent, but he just can't win. This is because his blade technique is indeed very simple. In the past, Luo Feng always thought that his blade technique wasn't bad, especially with the acceleration of his spiritual force. Indeed, he was able to slaughter everything in the wilderness. However, compared to William, who was also a genius, his blade technique can't compare to William's blade technique. William's blade technique was like the moving clouds and flowing water. One move after another, like waves after waves, directly forcing Luo Feng to retreat. Thankfully, Luo Feng was finally able to use his technique that touched the threshold of the perfect level. He already suppressed his opponent in speed, and with his ghostly technique, he naturally defeated him in one move. I can't even win against my opponent in both speed and strength. In the end, I still have to rely on my ghostly technique. Even though Luo Feng won, he wasn't too satisfied with himself. I lost. William clenched his teeth. If he knew that Luo Feng wasn't happy even after winning, he would probably be even more furious. Times. 9 grand floors in the lobby of the 9th floor. Young men and women of all skin colors came from all over the world. Some of them were bald, some of them had braids, some of them were terrifyingly large, and some of them were extremely skinny. This group of genius fighters from all over the world were all waiting and discussing. That guy named Luo Feng will definitely know how big the difference is between a newbie and a veteran. Can't he just lose 1 billion? Why did he have to shout 5 billion? If he wants to give us money, why wouldn't we accept it? A few young men and women from the European Union laughed as they chatted. Students from all over the world were also chatting. However, it was clear that most of the people here believed that William would win, since almost all battles between veterans and newbies are won by the veterans. Only an extremely small number of times will a newbie win. Challenge, Luo Feng wins. An electronic voice reverberated around the hall, creating an echo within the hall. Silence. Everyone in the lobby quieted down. What? A group of young men and women from the European Union all widened their eyes. Oh my God. A group of white and black men and women from the United States were also shocked. Over 40 billion rubles won by that Luo Feng? A group of young men and women from Russia couldn't help but to exclaim. Since then, in the history of the training camp, another example of a newbie defeating a veteran has appeared. Luo Feng defeated William. Ka. The door to the challenge room opened. William, who had a terrible expression, and Luo Feng, who was holding his cell phone, walked out together. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and turn on the notifications so you won't miss any of our upcoming great videos.